Welcome to another weekly featured business brought to you by Visibility Impact and your host, James Moffat, where he will gracefully take our featured guest on a personal and business journey and stories that will inspire, educate, and engage you.
Hello, and welcome to another Friday Featured Business brought to you by Visibility Impact and your host, myself, James Moffat. Today we have our 138th guest. Right, I'm going to let her introduce herself in a minute. Right, so something that's very passionate to me with the topics that she's going to talk about, and I'm going to take her on a journey from her childhood to where she is now. So, Pamela Cummins, welcome to the show.
Thank you, James, for having me here. It's early in the morning where I'm at now, but it's a pleasure to be here. It's a good way to start the day.
Excellent. So I know I've got you up early, so people are going to want to know where you are. So where are you now, and where are you originally from?
I'm actually I'm from the U.S. and I'm from New Jersey, a Jersey girl. So it kind of sounds close to a New York accent, although I've been told it's toned down. I have been living in North Carolina, which is on the coast, which is a southern state for, it was 13 years in August. So I like to say that if I was a piece of barbecue chicken, New Jersey is the meat and the barbecue sauce is North Carolina. But yeah, I'm an East Coast girl in the U.S.
Excellent. So I've been to the U.S. quite a number of times, and particularly to New York, because my sister used to live there for 20 years until she moved to Tampa, where she is now.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I understand the difference in accents as well then, and we went to many baseball games, and yeah, quite an experience. But anyway, so let's start. Let's find out a bit more about Pamela. So, yeah, you've also written a number of books, which we're going to cover as well as we go through the show, and you can actually show us the books on the screen so people can see them. And we'll provide all the links for anyone that's going to watch the recording afterwards. We'll provide all the links. It'll be available on the YouTube channel and audio on Spotify. So if you've missed it, you can catch up then. So Pamela, you've been a guest before. So yes. We have had some guests that talk about dreams, and dreams definitely fascinate me. And we've had two different guests, one talking about lucid dreams and one also talking about dream deciphering. And then we put together a panel discussion. So the recording is there. It's a 2-hour special. So people can actually listen to that as well and see. So we'll provide the links to that, because Pamela was one of the 4 expert guests on the panel show on dreams, which was a complete focus on dreams and what they mean and everything else. Excellent. I loved it. I loved it so much that, Pamela, you are our guest today. So without further ado, let's go back to your childhood. So where did you grow up as a kid? And just tell us a bit more about the things you liked and your interests and hobbies.
Okay. Well, actually, I was born in Iowa, which is in the Midwest, for people who don't know, because my dad I think he was getting his PhD at the time. But when I was about 2 years old, we moved to New Jersey and different parts of New Jersey. And my main part of my childhood was in Morristown, New Jersey. And that is where George Washington stayed for winter. In fact, I guess they were bored in the winter and they had nothing to do, so they built a fort, and they called it Fort Nonsense because they didn't need to make it. It was just something to do, okay? Because even way back there in 1774, whatever it was, they were bored. So that's where I grew up. Both my parents were Jewish, but they were non-religious, and I grew up actually around a lot of Catholic kids. So my parents, we celebrated Passover, and then we got an Easter basket. We celebrated Christmas because it was more convenient to celebrate one day than to get the family together for 7 days. The kids used to say that we had a Hanukkah bush, the Christmas tree. So I grew up with different types of religion, non-religious, okay, because we really didn't go to church or synagogue that much. In fact, I have a funny story I can tell you about that. But I'm happy that happened to me, because it was easier for me to accept, a higher power, a higher source, because I didn't have that religious background. Now, the funny story is, when I was a kid, because I used to be a smoker, because I had to be cool and fit in, is when I was probably about 10 or 11, my friends skipped Catholic school, it was a Sunday, and we were hanging out on the steps thinking we were so cool, smoking cigarettes, and we didn't even inhale at the time, and we just kept on smoking, talking, thinking we were just it, and all of a sudden a big scary nun was at the top, and she's like, I thought there was a fire, what's going on? And I'm like, she scared me, and I'm like, I'm Jewish, and I just ran off and left my friends there, which is kind of funny. And honestly, at that time, I was very grateful that I was not Catholic. But, so I grew up.
Yeah. So how old were you then?
I was about, I don't know, 11, 12-ish.
And smoking?
Yeah. Smoking? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I was quite a partier growing up, quite honestly.
I can imagine. And then the nun she said to you, I'll have none of that.
No, if she did, she actually had a shocked look on her face, because I was like, you're not punishing me, I'm Jewish. I heard about those scary nuns. You're not smacking my knuckles with a ruler. So I forgot about that story.
No, that actually triggered a memory of mine, because when I was young, I was quite rebellious, and I used to hang around with older kids, and they were into smoking to look cool, right? And so I thought, well, I'll smoke to look cool, but I couldn't stand smoking, but I wanted to look cool. So I would do what you did. I'd inhale it in my mouth, but I wouldn't take it back into my lungs. And then I would hold it a little bit and then blow it out like cool and make rings and everything. And people thought I was cool. But one kid said to me one day, oh, you're not smoking properly. I said, of course I am. He said, show me. And I thought, oh, shit, no, really got to do it. Right. So I took it back into my lungs, and I felt my lungs burning. And I thought, oh, this is terrible. And then I quickly exhaled it as quick as possible. And then I was trying desperately not to cough, or it looked like I don't know how to smoke. So and that was terrible. I felt sick and lightheaded and dizzy and wanted to vomit. And I thought, from that day forth, I completely, not that I was a smoker, I was a pretend smoker, I gave it up. I thought, this is awful stuff.
I wish I had. Good for you.
Did you, when you were older then, did you smoke like?
Oh, I smoked for many years. I smoked pot, I drank, let's put it this way. I wouldn't want me as a child. Okay. Seriously. I went through my little rebellious stage, and basically what I was doing, and anybody who's, so-called partying, medicating my feelings, medicating my emotions, medicating my memories and stuff. I haven't had a drink, drug or cigarette for over 30 years now. Okay. But back then, it was actually a coping mechanism, and I think today kids, because they don't consider themselves kids, but at my age I do, they do it in other ways. They might get a piercing, they might get a bunch of tattoos or whatever, and it's just a way of not having to deal with the painful situation.
Yeah, I found it as kind of an escapism,
right,
from all the things that may have happened behind closed doors or in your private life. You were, in a way, you were a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde, because you were one person maybe inside the home, and someone outside of the home as a defense mechanism. And that rebelliousness that came into your life was a defense mechanism.
Right.
But anyway, so it was a kind of similar. And you have I know you've got many books, but I just want to touch on one in particular whilst we're still going into your childhood. But it's something that actually interests me as well, because we had in the family, both my parents went grey quite young, and we were hoping we didn't get that gene because we didn't want to be grey. And at 15, my elder sister started to go grey. And then my brother, once he reached 15, he started to go grey. And then I was luckily only 17 when I started. And in those days, when I going through my 20s, I used to dye my hair because I didn't want to be like, who's this grey guy, right? He looks too old, and how come he's grey and he's in his 20s? So I used to dye it, right? And it was cool to dye it as well because it was trendy, and it was around the time of punk rock. So it didn't really matter. Nobody really knew, right? But then later I just let it grow, and now it's just a shade of blonde that I say. So, but you've written a book about this. So tell me your story.
Okay. Well, first of all, here's the book. This curly girl went gray, and you can see my dyed hair. And actually with my hair, because it's curly, and I don't know if you can say it's actually curlier in the back, but I had a lot of issues with my hair. Talk about rebellion, because it's not the normal straight hair. Like there was one time there was perms were in, but a lot of times it was straight glossy hair, and I don't have that. Okay. So people either loved my hair or they told me what to do with my hair. Okay. I've had people tell me to thin it out, straighten it, cut it short. See, if I cut my hair short, it goes out like this. I swear it's like an afro, and I look like Bozo the Clown with Shirley Temple curls. Okay. Because the shorter it is, it gets curlier. Right. So, but people don't know that. I remember one time I was working and some woman said, you have too much hair for such a little girl, because I'm 5'2". So, so many comments. And quite honestly, the Black kids, when used to love, they still do. They love my hair, but they used to like to braid it, and they used to let me put my fingers in their afro. I used to go like that, which now I know is like such a privilege, because you don't touch their hair. Okay. They don't allow anybody to touch their hair. So I had a lot of issues with my hair. My first gray, I think, was like 25, and someone was like, and they pulled it out. I'm sure everyone's experienced that, or if you haven't yet, you will. And I don't like makeup. Okay. I never liked makeup. I never wanted to dye my hair, but my hair is grayer in the front, and most people it grows in the front gray. Okay. That's where it starts. And I had so many people get on my case. You're too young to go gray, and
but you said 25.
Yeah.
Well, you still had like 10 years of
right. Well, me. And there's other people I've read and talked to, other people who've gone gray at an earlier age. So I was kind of pushed. I never wanted to do it, but I pushed it into it to dye my hair. One guy, it was a blonde date. We went out a couple of times, and he got mad because I wouldn't have sex with him by the third date. So he insulted me. Oh, you have garlic breath, because I ate garlic at one meal, and you need to dye your hair. And this other guy, dye your hair. So I dyed my hair, and I did for many years. Now,
what
I
color?
remember many years.
What color?
I think, it was like a brownish black color. Okay, kind of close to mine. I did it a little dark, and then I did it a little lighter, brownish black. And I thought it looked fine. Everybody else did it. And I remember one time my spirit guides saying, "Stop dyeing your hair," and I was like, "Nah." And then it started to make, when I had it done, besides burning and itching. All right. It made me feel loopy, like kind of out of it, I guess, you know? And I was like, "Ooh, this isn't good." So I had a dream. It was, you know, it was 9/11, COVID time. Okay. And I had a dream where my hairstylist, had died. And I was upset about that. And I needed to, so I needed to find someone else, right? And this guy is arguing and telling me, yelling at me, what I should do with my hair. Okay. And I've had hairstylists do that. Okay. And I woke up and I was like, "Oh, that's weird. I hope, you know, I hope my hairstylist didn't die." And about a couple weeks later, she texted me and said, "The salon is open, you know, come on in, get your hair dyed." And I was about to text her back, and I kept on hearing, "No, no, 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 no." And I was like, "That's weird." And then I said, "Okay, I'll listen to that, you know." And I said, "Are you wearing masks?" Because at the time, masks were mandated. I know, like in Europe, they were like really strict. And in the South, they were lackadaisy about it. And she's like, "Well, I'm leaving that up to the people." And I'm like, "Well, I'm not going to get my hair dyed, hardly going out anywhere and catching COVID. That's dumb." So I didn't go. And that's when I, you know, started really feeling, why don't I let it grow out? And I joined groups. And then I decided to go cold turkey. You know, a lot of women get highlights and stuff, but with my hair, it's, you know, at the time, especially with the dye, it was so dry, it would have ruined it, you know. So I just let it go out cold turkey. And then I heard, "Cut it, you know, get highlights." I call them polite hair trolls, right? So what happened, I'm sorry, I'm going on and on about this, but what happened in a nutshell was it helped me be true to myself, stand up for myself, follow my dreams and my intuitions, okay, help other women. And I call them polite hair trolls, people, you know, so how to deal with them, what ways, you know, because if you want to dye your hair, great. If you want to do highlights, if you want to get a buzz cut, do you, but let me do me. Okay. So I decided I spent hours studying how to take care of my curly hair, because nobody taught me how to take, you know, like there's scrunching and what kind of shampoos to use. And nobody taught me that stuff. Right. So I wanted to share all that knowledge in this book. And it's a little book, it's a tiny little book, but it really has helped. Like there's one section, advice for curly hair, but there's other sections too. I'm just like the polite hair, heal your hair story. And basically that's what I did, because I love dreams, and dreams point you in the right way, but you have to do the work when you're awake, so-called awake in the physical world. You know, you have to take those messages and work through the stuff. And the reason I'm so glad that I work through the stuff, because I'm comfortable with my hair now. And I get people all the time, you know, men, women, "I love your hair. I love your hair. Oh, I couldn't, you look great, but I couldn't do that," you know. So it was one of the best things I've ever done, quite honestly, was just to be natural, to be me.
Yeah, I completely agree. Because, we've got a question. Galia.
Thank you. So thank you so much for sharing your story. And it is so funny because I had a few cases like yours. Well, I used to have my hair, it's waving, and it is long. It was long. And being in UK, going to a hairdresser, I was told I have a lot of hair. What kind of recognition is this? You have a lot of hair. Some people have hair, some people don't. Some people have curly hair, some people have, you know, straight, quite smooth. But this is not the what I wanted to say. I just wanted to make a bridge. With regards to the dreams, as you said, you have to work out. You did work out how they works. But what does it mean to work out if you are not aware of the dreams? And what exactly do you do and how are you doing? And to know that this dream, it's telling you the story, or it's pointing to something, or opening the doors.
Okay. All right. And that in itself could take hours to answer. I'm going to use my dream that I had, the one where my hairdresser died. Okay. She didn't die. Basically, it was saying, stop dyeing your hair. Okay. That's the end of it. All right. It was also kind of showing me the future of how I'm going to go through a lot of conflict with my hair. Okay. And it was funny because the guy who in the dream kind of looked like the guy who, when I was like 6 years old, cut my hair really short, and I hated it. Oh my God. I felt it looked awful. All right. So I had some trauma about that and the fight, but also the internal fight within me, like the mainstream male. Okay. Like, this is the way you do your hair. You dye your hair. You do it this way, to what I want. So there was that internal in me. Now, how did I figure that out? Well, it took years of learning. Like, I can interpret I'm going to say 75% of my dreams like that. Okay. And sometimes it takes time for it to occur. So when it comes to your dreams, all right, think about what the symbolism means. Okay. Like, with the woman, she dyed her hair. Okay. She died, okay? But dye can also be dyeing, okay? Like dyeing your hair, okay? So think about, and what does the symbolism mean to you? And I'm going to say that dream dictionary apps don't always tell you what it is. What does it mean to you? What did you feel in the dream? And then what happened to you in the past? What happened to you in the future? And what's the issue today, and what could happen in the future? All right. And then sometimes you have to just let the time go by to get back to the dream. Right. And that's a really quick, brief synopsis of doing dream interpretation. But I hope that makes sense, because your dreams are about you. So you have to figure out, what does it mean? Okay. And if you can't figure it out right away, that's okay. And you can always, book a session with me. I'm going to put that in. You can always book a session with me and to learn. But really, it's your feelings, what the symbolism means, the actions, the people in the dreams. Okay. That's important. And look at your past, present, and possibly future.
So much. It does make sense, and
Okay.
I will start paying attention, because, to be honest, I don't pay attention. Sometimes I do, because they're quite vivid,
Right.
but sometimes the symbolic, it's too strong. So it's not straightforward. I don't know. I'm not much into it. For me, this is a new area of exploring. And it's very interesting. So thank you so much for sharing.
Well, and you have to remember, I've been doing this like since the early 90s. Okay. I've been a dreamer. I've been doing it a long time. Okay. So yeah, it's really, dreams are about exploring your inner mind, and the dream language. Yes. It's kind of like we're all the same. We all breathe air. We all have blood, bodies, hair, whatever. And there's some dream language is the same. Okay. But then we're all unique. Okay. So, James is male. We're female, from the US, Switzerland, Bulgaria, there's like different things. And that's what dream language is about. So yes, there's some commonality, but it's also a lot of uniqueness too.
Lovely. I love it. So there's a few things that you pointed out there. You mentioned about it's kind of a revelation in the way that you broke free, just going back to the grey hair. And once you started to become grey, naturally, without dyeing it, then it was kind of like, I am who I am, and you accept me who I am, and I'm not going to masquerade around being someone that you want me to be. I want to be me, which actually a song, actually, Toya Wilcox. Right. But anyway, so I felt that as well. I mean, I kind of had 10 years of dye in my hair between 20s and 30s. And then one day I decided that, well, people were saying, why you keep dyeing your hair? Why don't you just let it be you and be natural? So then once I did, then I thought, well, I don't have to do it anymore. I don't have to dye it anymore. And I don't care. It's not what they think, it's how I feel about myself. Right. So then I never bothered. As long as I had hair, I was happy. And
if you don't have hair, that's fine too. And if you want to dye your hair, you do you, right?
Exactly. So everything is up to the individual. So that book, was that what was your first book?
My first book was, and I want to say it's because of dreams, my dreams that brought out my psychic abilities. Okay. Mm-hmm. When I stopped medicating myself, okay. Mm-hmm. My dreams became very vivid, and I used them to work out childhood issues, and my psychic abilities came back. And I'm a Libra.
Sorry, let me just hold you there, right? Because I want to just finish off the childhood bit, because the dreaming bit, okay, we're going to focus really and go into a bit more detail on. So, growing up as a kid, I mean, I know from the notes that you have a sibling, so you have a sister.
Correct.
Right. So is she like you? I mean, with the gray hair and stuff?
Oh, no, no. But in fact, for many years, she didn't dye her hair. And when her daughter got married, she dyed her hair, and now she dyes her hair. And, and her hair isn't as curly as mine. It used to be straighter, and now it's wavier. She's into spirituality and stuff like that. But she's different than me. She's been married. Well, she got married really young. She's been married over 30 years, maybe 40. I don't have a child. She has, my niece, Cynthia. She ran a pizzeria for many, many years. We're different. Okay. We're similar, but we like different types of clothing. We like certain music. So no, we're not exactly like. We're really close, though. She's my best friend. She was born, very quickly after me. She's my younger sister. So, but no, we're different. Thank God.
Yeah, no, exactly. So, just a quick question, then we'll move on. Were your parents gray as well?
My mom had some gray. She died early in her 50s, so she had some gray. And yeah, my dad. I remember my dad. He was probably like 30s or 40s, and he had dark hair on the top, right? But his beard was gray. So he went for a fishing license, and the guy, for the color of his hair, he wrote gray because of his beard, and he was so upset. He's like, I'm not gray. So, but now he's 87. He's very gray.
Yeah,
he's white. Actually,
I noticed it with the hair on my face started going grey. Well, not first, because I didn't have it when I was 15 or 17. But I had grey hair at the top, and I was dark.
That's interesting.
So the other way around, and because often you see like grey beards but dark hair, but mine was the other way around. But now it's all grey. But I think it looks cool, actually. So
I think it does. And there's different shades. Of people.
Different shades of grey.
Yeah,
50 apparently.
Oh, so that many? I didn't realize. Oh God, Dor. That was good.
You have to be quick, you see. It's still early morning for you.
Well, like,
right. Anyway, let's move on. So let's move into kind of the education and into what you're doing. How did you get involved in dreams? Because this is something that's really, I have a strong passion for. I love dreams. I have my very vivid dreams as well. And yeah, I loved it when Robert Wagner was talking about lucid dreams and what is a lucid dream. And particularly the spirituality and the dreams there. So let's kind of wrap up the childhood. What was your kind of your education, and how did you get into dreams, or did you go off into the corporate world first and some?
Oh, no corporate. I was actually a bookkeeper, okay, for many years, a bookkeeper, and I worked at a men's clothing store. I started from like cashier and worked my way up to bookkeeper, and which actually was very good because the bookkeeping, I can keep my books. I had to answer the phones, and talk to people, which obviously is important, so, and that in itself was an education. But really, it was when I stopped medicating myself, is a good way of putting it, my dreams started coming out. All right. And my dreams were about my childhood, and I won't go into that. But I had, quite honestly, I had PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder. And I had to work through that. So I was in group therapy, and I went with the therapist. So if anyone has PTSD, I can personally say, you need to be in therapy. A dream interpreter isn't going to necessarily help you. You need somebody who specializes in that. And the therapist I had worked with me with my dreams. And I was with her for probably about 2 years. And I would go in there, and she was the one who helped me working through my dreams to see how it connected with me. And it wasn't necessarily like one size fits all. So I learned it through her. And then my dreams started to become more precognitive, like dreams of the future. And I also got like psychic messages and stuff like that. And when I was telling that to my therapist, she freaked out. That she was so upset about that. She didn't believe in that. And then we went our separate ways. So basically,
sorry to interrupt. So just going back, at what point, I mean, were you a child when you started to realize?
I was when this was I was probably like 29, early 30s.
Okay. But as a child, do you recall having dreams that didn't seem to make any sense at the time, that you can recall now that, oh yeah, that dream did make perfect sense and I understand it now?
Honestly, not really. Okay. Because as a child and stuff, I made fun of my dreams, and only a few dreams came true. Okay. But I blocked the meaning. I also blocked my psychic abilities because I was told, you're crazy, that's not right. And it wasn't really safe. Okay. It was only, so if your child, I'm going to say this, if your child is having things that you don't understand, okay, even if it's being artistic, I don't care what it is, encourage them to be them, because I can only imagine how different my life would have been, without that. So yeah, I had dreams. I can remember like a dream when I was like 5 or 6 years old. But most of my dreams gone. It wasn't until, my late 20s, early 30s that I can remember some of them.
Okay, so I'm very curious now about what you do and the dreams, and particularly, I mean, you talk about spirituality as well. So was it the spiritual path that led you to the understanding the dreams, or was it the dreams that led into the spirituality?
I'm gonna say it was both, because at the time I was getting into spirituality, and the dreams reinforced the spirituality. Okay, because at the time I guess you could say I was building a relationship with a higher source. Okay, and you can call that God, goddess, the universe, because I call it all different names. Okay, so I was building a relationship, and then the dreams were triggering and reinforcing that relationship, but in a more, I'm going to say, metaphysical way. Okay, because again, I was around a lot of some Jewish people, but also more Christians at the time. And I remember asking God to please send people who believe the way that I do, who believe that this is not our first life, We don't have one shot theory, who believe that we can communicate with the angels and, do energy healing and stuff like that, who believe that tarot and oracle cards are not evil. They're just a way to bypass our ego and to understand symbolism. So it was a mixture of both.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I want to kind of dig deeper there. So with dreaming in particular, I mean, particularly over the last few years, I've had more vivid dreams, and I know kind of the meaning behind a lot of them, because I also went into, maybe as a child, similar to you. I mean, my mum came from a Jewish background, although they weren't practicing. And ironically, her parents went into spirituality. And at that time, as a kid, when you hear your grandparents are into spirituality, it was like the hokey pokey kind of weird. No, you don't go near them. And it's not until now that you've grown up, you think, well, wow, why wasn't I introduced to that earlier? And so on my mum's side, it was like that. And on my dad's side, like a Christian, kind of go to church. And so I was torn between like synagogues and churches, and that, very similar to you. So completely confused with what the hell was religion. And I thought, well, I don't need to go to either of them to believe and connect to source. Now, whether you call it, like you said, source, God, the creator, the universe, the oneness, whatever, it is the same source. And yeah, I found that it was easier then to connect with myself, and through that way alone. I didn't need anybody around me, and I didn't need someone to preach to me, right? So similar, I guess, similar to you, because you mentioned about the synagogue and the church and everything else. So how did the kind of that inner feeling like come alive, that you thought, well, is this the path I want to go on? Was there something significant that changed that?
I think, I'm trying to think, and that is, I think it was just a knowing, like a combination of so many knowings, like, first of all, putting down the chemicals, and going into my dreams and just having, okay, they're reminding me of it. Okay. I'm not going to go into the issues with my mom, but I hadn't spoken to her in a long time. All right. And I was at a 12-step meeting, and somebody was speaking. Okay. I forgot all about this. Somebody was speaking, and it was real. I don't even remember, but it was like so good. And I was really focused on that. And in my head, I heard, call your mother. I was like, what? And I looked around, and I looked behind me, and nobody had said that. It was in my head. Okay. And I did. And I called my mom, and I had a visit with her, and it was a really good visit. Okay. And that got me in touch with like angels and other things that helped me to start trusting it. Okay. And it was just like, at the time it was very major. When I look back on it, it's like, an everyday occurrence, right? But back then it was like, it was amazing. Like, oh my God, that voice was not mine. Okay. And I hear a lot. So that was them telling me, call your mom. Let's make some peace with this relationship.
No, I love it. So let's just kind of talk about some of the books, and then into what you actually do now as a living. Who are your typical types of clients, and what do you do? I mean, as in events or anything there? Okay. Is it online, offline, a combination of both, and so on? And I'm going to pick out other bits that I want to throw at you as we go through. So
okay, all right. Well, all right. The first book I wrote was Psychic Wisdom on Love and Relationships. Because I was really I put dream interpretation on the back burner, and I put relationships on the front. Insights for Singles, Steps to Find Everlasting Love, Pamela's Love Collection, which is a bunch of blogs and stuff about relationships. And then from there, I wrote, that's 3, okay. I wrote Learn the Secret Language of Dreams. I'm sorry, it's backwards. But this talks about dream categories, different dream categories. And then I started really going into dream interpretation. I also wrote, and it was funny because as I was writing this book, I woke up one morning, because sometimes you get messages when you just woke up, right? And they're telling me about writing a book about like affirmations. You need to write this book, different affirmations. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm writing another book right now. Let me finish this one. And this was a book, Personal Growth Affirmations. Okay. And after that, I wrote, and it's a free book. It's real short. And it's Got Dreams, Discover Your Idea Dream Journal. And you can find that everywhere. Sadly, not Amazon, because Amazon gives me the biggest hassle about making a book free. So it's on any other bookstore. And it's also my free gift package on my website. And then this is my last book, This Curly Girl Went Gray. And I went into that. And my next book, I'm actually got a message. I was like, how call your mother. Okay. And this one was actually louder, like put this book on Kickstarter. And I was like, what? Kickstarter? Because I never thought about doing that. So I was kind of hesitant, and I asked him before I went to bed for a solution dream, should I put this book on Kickstarter? And I dreamed that I was on my computer, right? And I heard, start researching Kickstarter, all right? So I started in my dream, and then in real life, I started researching Kickstarter. And this book is called Dream Interpretation for the Mystical Soul. And I go into just real quick, like precognitive dreams, deceased loved one dreams, different, like, is it you if you dream about somebody else in a dream, how to do yoga to interpret your dream, meditation, different ways to do your dreams. And that's coming in October.
Wow. So, yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
So when written the first book, was the first book the hardest book to write, or you found that?
Absolutely. I wanted to write a book for a decade. That was the first, that was so hard to write. And I was in a writer's group, and everybody was giving me different feedback. And I went to an editor who was awful, and it paid her, well, it wasn't a ton of money. Yeah, that was the hardest one. And then it becomes easier. And that, and quite honestly, like with this one, the last one, it was a lot easier. And I'm not so anal, excuse the expression, anal about like, oh my God, there's not a comma here. And oh my God, because no matter what you do, there's going to be a typo in your book. No matter, I don't care if you have 100 people look at it, there's going to be a typo in your book. All right. So, and I look back on my first book in 2012, and I was like, oh my God, what was I thinking? But as time goes on, and I blog a lot, and I write articles and stuff like that. So my writing has improved, but there's never going to be 100%. And I also know not everyone's going to love my book. It's a unique niche, it is unique. So not everyone's going to love it, but that's okay. The people who are meant to find it, who's going to help, that's what I care about.
Yeah.
And of course I'd like to make some money too, but I call it kind of like a business card. Especially with nonfiction, it's business card, but I have to do it. It's like breathing. I got to do it.
Yeah, I love it. And congratulations again.
Thanks.
Now, because we are, Galia and myself, in a book group, and we're writing, from previous guests that have been on the show, where we've selected a few, or 11 of us, that are moving forward to co-author our first book, to share our stories. And it is hard work. And particularly the first time when you've never written anything, you don't know how to start, you don't know how to keep people engaged, you don't know how to end it. but we're getting good coaching on this, and it is painful, I must admit, but it's a massive learning curve, and you learn the art of writing because we were clueless. I didn't know even how to start the first sentence, and you procrastinate for so long because you know in the back of your mind you've got a story to write, you just don't know how to write it. So now that we're now in the final stages, and Gallia is a bit more ahead of me, where we've got what we call, or the publishers called, testing the beast. So we've got it ready, and then we send it out to the others to review and give feedback on the points that we want them to look at. And hopefully I'm doing mine next week, and then we get into the final bit that. You're right. I mean, not everybody's going to like the way or the style that you've written or the story that you've written, but it's not for everybody.
Right.
And you've got to find the audience that would be interested. But we do it for, just digressing a little bit, for three fundamental reasons. I mean, it's firstly to inspire others, to educate them, because the stories are very educational. I mean, what you're saying today, particularly about dreaming and spirituality, is educational. And the most important, which is the fundamental thing that drives everything, is to bring hope.
Right.
Because there's a lot of lost and disillusioned people out there at the moment. And if you can hear 11 stories from 11 regular, ordinary people and their challenges that they went through, then hopefully it'll inspire and bring hope to others. So that's why we're doing it. But I want this to be finished because I have other books in my mind that I want to write, and particularly another one, particularly about inner work. When you talk about knowing yourself, I've already started it, although I've kept it quiet. It's all the inner work about knowing yourself, the different layers of your mind. And to me, this is a really personal thing, because it's how I feel, how I perceive the outside world and the inside world. And so that would be
amazing. If I may jump here, this is amazing, and thank you for sharing, James. But also, alongside what you said, the three main actually goals we had with or targets with writing this book, but also alongside this, it's the inner healing which is going on, and I truly believe Pamela will agree and share with us as well. It is the healing, because we hit so many, or we reopen the wounds we still have, the internal unhealed, and just allowed us seeing this and through the story, laying out on paper to start the healing process.
Yeah, I completely. Pamela,
I'd like to add something. I think that, like, one of the reasons, like, even with this curly woman went gray, okay, which, you know, when I asked the guy to, like, format it for the book, he laughed at my title. But I think what's really important is people to look at it and say, I'm not alone in this kind of thinking. Okay, I'm not crazy. There's others like me. And the other thing I want to say, to become a better writer besides writing, okay, you got to read. I read a book. I read at least one, even if it's a fiction book, because I love fiction. That's the way I relax. I read at least one a week. Reading will make you a better writer. Read fiction, read nonfiction, because you'll see the way, you know, like Barbara 𝗪𝗪𝗪, she wrote a lot of book about love relationships. And what I love is she did bullet points, okay? And I realized she was with a publisher, but I love bullet points because it really brings, because I can read real fast and miss stuff, but that brought, and so a lot of my books, and somebody said I copied her, maybe I did, but a lot of my books use bullet points. So when you read people's other books, it will help your writing. Stephen King, everybody says, read as much as you can.
Yeah, no, I love it. And you see the style, different styles of the way that people write. And I mean, there's certain books that you read that you can't wait to read the next book that they've got.
Right.
And I mean, I've seen the whole box set, and I've just gone through the whole, I mean, the ones that many years ago, I like Dan Brown. And I read first the Da Vinci Code, and then I was hooked on that, and I couldn't wait to read what the next one was. And then so I read them all back to back. So I just bought the box set and read them back to back. And yeah, I couldn't stop reading, but then I got kind of fed up with that style, and I thought I want something different. So then I started reading more biographies and also about ancient wisdom and the pyramids and all sorts of different things to see. And yeah, I think by reading, exactly, it makes you a better writer.
Right. Absolutely.
So let's come on to the spirituality part then, and what you do. So also within dreams, so your dreams and what you do with spirituality, you said they're both really connected. So
right.
With your work, it's about interpreting the dreams, but on a spiritual meaning.
Yes. Well, what does it mean? It's like hand in hand. And I never finished my education. I did more self-study when it came to dream interpretation and dreaming and doing other people's dreams. But I'm also an interfaith minister, massage therapist, energy healer. So many things. I'm trying to think of them all. I've done a lot of healing courses. Lenormand, I'm a Lenormand reader, which is a certain type of card reading. Body mind counselor, all kinds, different stuff. All right. So with me, the dream interpretation is as my slogan says, nighttime messages, daytime wisdom. So when I interpret someone's dream, what's the message? What's the wisdom? Okay. Now, how can you use this wisdom in your daytime? Because you can know that my dream is telling me that I need to stand up for myself. Okay. So, all right, you need to stand up for yourself. What happened to stop you from standing up for yourself? Okay. What can you do to heal that? And what actions do you need to take to stand up for yourself? Okay. And that's the way that I like to interpret dreams. And I also get psychic messages too. How can you, which will help people with this. And that's kind of like it in a nutshell. But really, your dreams help. You get the messages. Now what are you going to do with it?
Yeah. No, I love what you're saying. I just want to ask you some advice here. So as a kid, yeah, I used to have lots and lots and lots of very vivid dreams, near enough every night, and all through my childhood. And if I get one a year now of that, I feel blessed. So I think, like, when you're younger, you're more susceptible and more consciously aware, although unaware in the same way. It's kind of a contradictory in terms, because your consciousness is a higher connection, but you're unaware of your consciousness, if you know what I mean, right? But I used to dream that I could fly. Now, not like Superman or anything. I would just kind of levitate above the houses, and I'd have to focus on it, and then really not really further above the houses, and then just off I'd go to school, and then come down in the playground, and then if I wanted to take someone with me, I would have to hold their hand and concentrate a bit more, because I have to lift them up as well. And I had these dreams nearly every night, and still don't know really what they mean. And yeah. So any thoughts on that?
Well, the first thing when you said is like, you're ready for takeoff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's, I actually heard that you are ready to take off. So you want to, and it could be that I don't, like, beam me up, Scotty, you don't want to be here anymore. You want to take off and go, to a higher plane, or you're ready to take off and go on with your life. And that because you're holding someone's hand, you're ready to help other people go to like a higher place. Okay. Or another way to look at it, okay, and some people might think this is really woo-woo, is that you were a bird in a past life. So that was natural for you to fly. That's another way to look at it, because who says we can't be animals? All right. So I know that's a little out there, but that's another thing. Yeah. And again, I don't know what your childhood was, but maybe that was your way of escaping too.
Actually, it makes perfect sense.
Okay. All right. And I want to use that as an example too, because one of the things that I try and get across to people is one symbol can have thank you, 𝗙𝗘𝗏, for being here. She's going to take off. So thank you so much for being here. It was nice meeting you. I don't want to lose my time. One symbol can have many, many meanings, and one dream can have different meanings. And sometimes it's like, yes, this is the right meaning, you'll know right away. And sometimes, I like to give people different, like at least 2 to 3 meanings on a dream. And sometimes it could be all 3. And maybe later on down the road, you'll find something, something that's that has a different meaning. So I hope that makes sense.
No, perfect sense. And actually, you touched on something that, it's quite meaningful, because I said more recently, I've had more dreams and trying to decipher what they mean. I'm trying to self-decipher. But what you said is kind of bringing the childhood dream to a reality of the present.
Right.
And without going into the detail, but I mean, I know what it means now.
Oh, good.
So, thanks for that. Yeah.
Oh, you're welcome.
So typically, just tell me a bit more about who your clients are and what kind of programs that you do.
Okay. All right. My clients tend to be, woo-woo. They're into spirituality. Okay. And and I'm happy to work with people who are religious. Okay. But they tend to be more, I'm going to say, into metaphysic New Agers. Okay. Who want to heal and grow. That's really important, working on your personal and spiritual growth. And I work with more women, but I'm happy to work with men, different ages is a good way of putting it. And, so I offer different things. Obviously, I have books. I have oracle cards that I did, which you can find on the Game Crafter, because I'm not one for shipping out things. I also do psychic readings, because I find some people just want the dream interpretation. Some people just want the messages. All right. Some people need spiritual growth coaching, which I can add with the psychic readings and the dream interpretation, because I'm sorry, I'm not just going to tell you what your dream means. I'm not just going to give you a message. I'm going to, do some coaching, and it could come through the form of messages of what you need to do in your life. Okay. Because I've worked psychic lines in the past, and I'd give them the information and they wouldn't do anything with their life. And they call it back about the same issue. And it's like, no, I don't care how slow you go. You need to do the work. So that's those are the type of people who work with me. Now I have different services. I have, by email, whether that's dream interpretation by email, and I go really in depth. I'm not just going to say your dream means this, goodbye. No, I go really in depth. I might get psychic messages and how to use this in your life. That's important to me. And I do psychic readings by email. I have hour sessions, if you want that. And I have coaching, 3 sessions, which you get a discount on. I'm also, my teaching, basically, I decided to join, it's called Our Sacred Community, which is in Australia. Okay. And twice a month, I do mystical dream interpretation, which it's an hour, it's live. And I'll go over a topic. I just started this. I'll go over a topic, and if you want to bring your dreams or whatever, I'll help you interpret them. And I'm on radio shows and things of that sort. Well, like now, and I do a lot of writing, and I write blogs, and I also write, if you're on LinkedIn, I do one a month, and I'll probably write more books. So
you said, I mean, this is fantastic. absolutely love what you do, and particularly the fact that you go deep and not just superficial, because I mean, anyone can give some wishy-washy, superficial response. It's you want to go deeper to find kind of the meaning behind it.
Right. Right. Well, you can, I'll be quite honest, you can go on Fiverr, you can go on Etsy, and you can get your dream interpreted for like $5, $10, maybe $20. Okay. But what good is, your dream means, I don't know, I'm just thinking, you're going to take off. Okay. Or you're going to meet somebody or whatever. Well, what good is that if they're not giving you direction? Because I'm sorry, as I said earlier, one dream has many meanings. So it could mean something else. What are you going to do with that? And so, so I honestly, I charge $100 for an in-depth dream interpretation. And depending on how long that dream is, it can take me up to an hour and a half, 2 hours to do it. So actually, that's a bargain.
It is, absolutely. I mean, for what you do, it can change someone's life. I mean, to have something life-changing for $100.
Right. But I do it because I love what I do. I love when people get their aha, oh yeah, and they change their life. That's what I want to do. It's because when I did massage therapy, that was long ago. I'd give someone a massage, make them feel better. I'd give them advice. You need to work out. You need to let go of this stressful situation, whatever. And they wouldn't do it. And they'd come back. And I'd do the same. And honestly, some people are good at that. I get tired of it. It's like, okay, start taking the steps. I don't care if the baby steps, even if you said, I drank a lot of water today. I walked around the block. Do something. It's so important. Because as you know, and it's like with the book, like the book you're writing, you're inspiring people, you're letting them know you're not alone, all right? And you can make the changes, all right? But if they just read the same thing over and over, it's not going to happen. We're just their guide.
That's a kind of the definition of madness. Keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
Right. And sometimes we need to do that, but after a while, you get sick and tired of doing the same thing.
Yeah,
it's easier to change.
Actually changing and doing something different, getting out the other side of the bed in the morning and changing your routine and see what the results you get. And I also believe in kind of the way you feel. I mean, there's a lot of doom and gloom out there, and every day we're bombarded with doom and gloom. Now, you don't want that to lower your vibration, and you want to raise your vibration and your frequency and to move into something more love and calm and beautiful, because then you go to bed and you feel better. So even though the day might have been negative, turn it into a positive when you go to bed, because we really don't understand the sleep time, because I mean, you on an average, I guess between 6 and 10 hours people are sleeping, and that is magical time that we completely forget. I mean, do we, just a question, do we always dream? I mean, when we're in a dream state or when we go to bed and we're sleeping, are we always dreaming, or is it only if you're in a dream state?
Okay, well, first of all, I want to say that with the doom and gloom and like the negative emotions, you need to look at that and move through it, okay? Because if you don't, it's called spiritual bypass. If you're always happy and everything is great, you need to work through that, okay? That came up when you were speaking. Are we always in a dream? Okay, well, I'm not a sleep expert, but if we have, I forget how many times a night we have to dream, every night, and whether that's 4 or 5 dreams. Are we constantly in a dream state? Well, this is my opinion. I think when we're on this planet, we're kind of in a dream state. Okay. I remember saying to a woman, I said, well, how do you know that when we're dreaming, we're really alive, and when we're so-called awake were really asleep. And that baffled her. She's like, don't say that, I can't handle that. But if you don't dream, and this has been scientifically proven, if you don't dream, you're going to start getting sick. We have to dream. And it could be like, and I'm getting a vision of like a gas pump. So it could be like when we dream, we're connecting to a higher source. We're connecting to our God self, the universe, and that feeds us. So during the daytime, we can, I guess, function is a good way of saying it. Because when you're sleep deprived, you can't function.
Yeah, I love that. And also, it's kind of recharging your batteries, but
Right.
Not just energy-wise that your body feels refreshed. I mean, sometimes I wake up more tired than I went to bed. I mean, the dream has been so exhilarating that I've woke up exhausted. But I think that was mainly to do with the dream. And sometimes I can have a reaction in the dream, as in like kick a leg out or something,
Right.
And stuff like that. I mean, I don't do sleepwalking, although I knew friends that did. But there's so many different things that happen actually when you're sleeping. But and I completely believe also in your connecting back to your God self. And connecting back to source, and you're getting the energy back from there, but also not just the energy, the messages.
Right.
But the thing is, most people will completely forget when they wake up.
Right.
And is there a way then to remember the message, or does it have to be repeated so many times that when you wake up that you can't not remember it?
Well, some people, and this is again my opinion, I find the more logical you are, the harder it is for you to remember your dreams. The more intuitive you are, or I'm going to say balanced in your intuition and your logic, it's easier for you to remember. Now you can, just like anything else, it's the intention, before writing down yourself a letter, when there was a pen and paper, or you can use your phone and just tell yourself, I will remember my dream. I will remember my dream. I will remember my dream. Write it over and over, use it as a mantra, visualize yourself remembering your dream, and it will happen. I remember this very logical man. I forget, I think he was an engineer, and he's like, I never remember my dreams. And, I gave him, do that every night. Have that intention before you go to sleep. Put either something to write down or your phone or whatever by your bed so you can write down your dream. Do it every night. And I said for 90 days. And it usually happens before. And the next time I saw him, he was like, I can't believe it. I remembered my dreams. I'm like, of course you, because we all dream. So a lot of times it is intention. Now, I want to point out, if you're going through a really difficult time in your life, sometimes you block your dreams because they could be painful. They could bring up stuff people don't want to look at. Okay. So that can also stop your dreams. And sometimes, your dreams are just about the day and you don't need to look at them, I guess is a good way of saying.
I mean, yeah, thanks. I've had some magical dreams, and dreams that I know what the dream was about or what the purpose of the dream was. And I mean, as an example, just a couple of years ago, I had a very vivid dream. I went to bed at night and wasn't expecting to have any sort of dream. I wasn't under the influence of alcohol or anything else, and just went to bed. And then throughout the night, I was approached by a blue dolphin, and a blue in particular, because I specifically remember the color. And I thought, are there such things as blue dolphins, or is it just a Disney movie? So, but anyway, this dolphin appeared and said to me, things are not what they appear. and repeatedly. That was it. That was the only words that was there. Then I got up in the night to go to the toilet, which I never do, right? So, and then went back to bed, got straight back into the same dream, met the blue dolphin again, and said exactly the same repetitively all night until the moment I woke up. And then I thought, right, I'm not going to forget that, because typically I do forget. As soon as I've woken up, I'm in the day mode and I've forgotten everything that happened in the night. But I know exactly what it means. And I know it particularly from a blue dolphin. But yeah, which kind of leads me back to when I said about the flying. I think what you said, then it kind of triggers everything off in my mind now of why it means what it means. Because there's a difference between, I think, understanding the dream and then why are you getting these dreams as well.
Right.
So these, particularly when it goes into the spirituality, it kind of blows your mind, because I just digressing a bit, I had a guest that talked about microdosing, and then I had another guest that talked about psychedelics and taking microdosing to the next level. But do you feel that using, because you mentioned earlier when you were more the rebel as a kid and trying things out, do you believe that if you're taking any sort of psychedelic, that it enhances the dream, it confuses the hell out of everything, and it's just a twisted nightmare? Or is it something that's an enhancement that actually clarifies?
Okay, well, first of all, I'm going to say, like with drugs, pot, and alcohol, that can actually stop you from remembering your dreams. Okay, but psychedelics, that could, I would, I'm not an expert, but I'm thinking that could enhance the dream. It depends. I mean, if you're having a bad trip, that could make things worse. Now, I forgot to mention, I also learned hypnosis because I like the altered state. And I actually had someone call me one time and say that all his problems started because of a bad acid trip. Could I hypnotize him and take him back to that time? And I was like, oh, no, I'm not doing that. One thing, besides getting sued, I couldn't live with, because I don't know what's going to happen when he goes back into that, state. I don't think a therapist would do that, so it really depends upon what you do. But personally, I think when it comes to dreaming, I think the best way for you to remember your dreams and stuff is to do it without any drugs or alcohol, to be clean and sober.
Okay. Another question. This actually came up in the panel discussion that we had, and Robert Wagner who's the lucid dreamer, which I had no idea what a lucid dream is, but it's about making yourself aware in your dreams, or kind of waking up in your dream. So do you have any techniques or methods or something that works for you, that when you're knowing that you're having a dream, that you're present within the dream and not just, it's just like watching something, you actually feel that you're actually there? Or maybe I've said that wrong. I if you know what I mean, like knowing that you're having a dream.
Okay. Well, for one thing, I'm not a lucid dream expert. Okay. It's not my thing. Okay. I believe in allowing your subconscious mind to flow and let it go. Now, if you're feeling scared and frightened, okay, and you know that you're dreaming, then you can take your power back. Okay. So if someone's facing you, and I'm just making this up, okay, if someone's facing you with a knife and you're aware, hey, I'm dreaming, this isn't real, what you can do is you could put on a Superman cape or whatever, and, and see yourself, protecting yourself and getting that, would-be mugger or killer away from you. So in that sense, I think it's good. But basically, I say, let it go, as long as it's pleasant, but if you can take your power back, take your power back.
Yeah.
That's important.
A lot of people say that oh yeah, they had a bad dream last night. They had a nightmare, and they've had recurring kind of nightmares. Are these really doom and gloom dark things, or is it more of an awakening dream to what's your thoughts on that?
All right. We could talk an hour just on that. All right. It depends. It depends. If the recurring dream nightmare is something that happened to you, some kind of trauma or a bad situation, that could be a post-traumatic stress disorder dream, and you need to look at that. All right. But if it's a different kind of nightmare and it's something that, hasn't happened, or it's your fear, I think that all nightmares are a gift. Okay. And I've actually got reamed out online, like on Pinterest and other places, like they're not a gift, but they are a gift because they're making you look at something in your life that is causing issues, or they wouldn't be coming up. Okay. And I kind of forgot the question, but it's something that needs to be looked at and worked through. And what can you do about it?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense as well, because sometimes when there's something bothering you and it's playing on your mind, and then you feel that you've had a nightmare of a dream, and it's probably a wake-up call to say you need to address this.
Right.
You need to sort that out, and not focus on, like I call it, doom and gloom, but focus on where you want to be.
Right.
And then move forward and get rid of it. But I mean, typically I have magical dreams, but I think from mine, they also go back to childhood, similar to you. I mean, I had quite a challenging childhood, and I ended up being a daydreamer at school. And daydreaming, I loved, actually.
Oh, yeah.
If there's a subject called daydreaming, I think I'd be top of the class. Right. I just thought you could enter into kind of this magical world, and everything would be how you wanted it to be. And then coming back to reality when the teacher's shouting at you and slamming the desk or something, and then you wake up and oh no, I was daydreaming, but the daydreaming was better than the lesson. So it's I know daydream is more of a I don't know, is it a conscious thing that you're doing while you're awake? But do you get into the same state as in a dream when you're dreaming?
Well, daydreaming, okay. I mean, dreaming is, I'm going to say, a higher spiritual level, okay? I don't know how else to put it. Where daydreaming is you're not present, and it is a spirit. How can I say? You're in a different state of mind. Okay. And I think daydream is actually good because it's kind of like hypnosis, where you're focusing on something, and if it's positive, that's better. And you could make it into reality. Now, becoming a superhero with special powers, like, being able to put like lightning out of your hands, that might not necessarily happen, but you might be able to heal people, ask the energy to come through. So daydreaming, in a sense, is kind of helping you manifest things. Okay. Yes. But it's also detachment from like the yuckiness of what's going around you. I mean, people used like during like the concentration camps, people would daydream. And I think that was actually a healthy thing, because you needed a break from, those people needed a break from what was going on around them. So you needed a break.
Yeah, I love that. What I would like to introduce in schools is a daydreaming class. Because I think that is a magical connection that you get. And if you could stimulate that so people go into this daydreaming state, then I think it only propagates good stuff. And it gets you to also think for yourself, right? Rather than someone telling you how to think in a lesson, and let your mind wander and just see what the results come out of it. I think I'm going to start a program kind of daydreaming at school.
There you go. It's kind of a form of visualization, in a sense.
Yeah, I think maybe even in the workplace, because the workplace gets very stressful.
Yes.
Right. If you could say, right, we're going to have a daydreaming break, right? So an hour out of the work in a quiet area. It could be with others that are in a quiet place. There's some nice music or something to help stimulate, and go into a daydreaming state for an hour and then go back to work. I think you'll feel great.
Right. Or even 5 minutes. Sometimes.
I know, if I was too short.
You want to know. But it's all altered states of consciousness.
Yeah.
Visualization, daydreaming, hypnosis, meditation. It's all altered state. And obviously, your dream state is, I'm going to say, it's like one of the highest, even because we can be aware, but it's one of the highest states of consciousness, unless you're in a spirit form.
So you talked about meditation, and not meditation, hypnosis.
Yes.
So what did you do there, and how did you get into that?
Well, goes back to the nighttime messages, daytime wisdom. Okay. At heart, I'm a healer. Dreams are a form of healing. So I found it, I went with a friend. It sounded interesting. I went with a friend, and it was just like, when something just feels right and it feels magical and it's a connection. And that's how I felt with that. So I learned, and again, hypnosis is basically focused concentration on a higher state of mind to make positive changes. Okay. To look at an issue, feel it, let it go, and replace it with something positive. That's it in a nutshell. Okay. And I just found it fascinating. And so I, became a certified advanced clinical hypnotherapist. And I also, one of the things that I find fascinating is past lives. So I learned how to do past life regression, So, and that was back in the early 90s. That was a long time ago.
Yeah. Actually, you touched on something there that fascinates me as well. You talk about past lives. So, this isn't for bless you. This isn't for everybody, because a lot of people don't believe in past lives. But for those that do, when in the hypnosis, are you doing kind of regression back to past lives?
Right.
And but also past lives on this plane, as in the third dimension, or past lives could be on a different level.
Okay. I got something in my throat. I'm sorry. All right. Now with past lives, when you say different planes, do you mean like different planets?
Not necessarily, but different. If we got the third dimension, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and so on.
So different dimensions.
Do you need to get a drink?
I need to get some water, but it's going to take.
All right, go on.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry, I should have turned my video.
Yeah, no problem. I can edit this bit out, so don't worry.
Okay. Sorry about that. All right, past lives on different dimensions. That's possible. You can have dreams of being in different dimension, different planets and stuff like that. You can have dreams of past lives, and you can do it in hypnosis. I remember doing a hypnosis with somebody who was like they were on a different planet, which was quite interesting. I can't remember all the details, but it was fascinating. Okay. You can do, and I had one client with past lives, and I don't know if it was different dimensions. I never had this with a client, but she was, like bar hopping. She was past life hopping. She was going from this life to this life to this life. I was having trouble keeping up with how many different past lives she had. So I don't see why it can't be on a different dimension. And I wanted to say to anybody who's listening and saying that's a bunch of crap, and to put it bluntly, it doesn't matter if it's real or not, just like if the dream's real or not, or the daydream or whatever. What matters is it helps you clear up something and make your life better. That's what counts.
I think it's excellent. I mean, I myself truly believe that. I don't believe we came from nothing and go to nothing. Right? It doesn't work. And right. Yeah, to me, there's a lot more. I mean, as I was told, things are not what they appear. So I mean, I look at everything in a critical way now, rather than just accept it is what it is.
Right. Well, there's different levels of spirituality. There's different levels of healing. There isn't one way to heal, so why can't some people believe that everything's happening now, your past, present, and future, and that's why you get glimpses of the future in your dreams and stuff, because it's happening now. And there's different. I can think of one where I had this dream that I was married to this guy. All right. And it was kind of like I was working at Summit, New Jersey at the time. Okay. And in the dream, I was in Summit, New Jersey, but I looked different. My hair was different. And it was
straight and black.
No, it was short. Okay. It was short. I was wearing clothes that I wouldn't normally wear. Okay. And I don't remember the exact details, honestly, but I do remember talking to him and being so in love with him. Okay. But it was me, but it wasn't me. So it was like, I'm going to say it was a different Pamela. It was on like a different reality, different plane, and I mean, science fiction talks about that, fairy tales about like, fairies and trolls and, goblins and elves and all that stuff. Who are we to say it's not real? Where did that come from? Do you remember now in the US, the Jetson, the cartoon?
Yeah.
Okay. With, and we haven't gotten to, cars that fly yet, but, talking to like doctor on a video and certain things that seem so far out there that are actually happening now. And inventions and learning on a screen and all this stuff. And it can happen. So yes, I do believe that there's different planes of existence and different worlds and all. Yeah. And I know we're getting really out there, but definitely.
No, I think we're getting more in there because I think more people are waking up to realizing that. I mean, kind of the brainwashing and then indoctrination through education has closed our minds, and we need to open them because there is a universe out there that we don't see, and there's actually a universe within your mind, which is the book I'm writing, that you are completely unaware of. So you don't do the hypnosis anymore?
I will with certain people, and that's part of the coaching or session. Okay. Yes, I will do that. I do, I will do that. And I don't go like some people do like this long, drawn out induction. Mm-hmm. And I'll do that if somebody needs it, but I do a short induction, get them to a state, and start talking. And I learned body-mind counseling and what is the name? Process-oriented body work. So I will do that with certain clients if but they have to say, yes, I want that. Some clients don't want that. And I respect where they are. But that, quite honestly, is a fast form way to heal because you're feeling the feelings, you're getting them out, and then you can put them with something else. Yeah. Because we all have within us, we all have memories that we haven't processed because quite honestly, sometimes it's not safe, especially as a child, it's not safe. So that's where the hypnosis and the process-oriented body work, when it's trapped in you because you don't let go of it, like emotions. Okay. That's why dreams are a great place where we let out our feelings and the reality of what's going on, because during the daytime we can't always, it's not appropriate to feel and to process it. You know, if you have kids or work or whatever, you can't do it. But at night it comes in your dreams. So you can remove some of it, but some of the stuff you don't process stays in your body. That is quite honestly where a lot of disease comes.
No, exactly. It makes you sick because
Right.
you can't get rid of it. So with hypnosis, you can do that remotely, or it has to be in person?
Oh, I can do it remotely. Just like, I mean, think about it. I give messages through writing or, you know, through the phone or whatever. Yeah, energy is energy. You know, it's kind of like right now there's a TV show in Switzerland that's playing that I'm not aware of, or a radio station I'm not aware of. Okay. But maybe if I tap into my mind, I can pick it up, or I can just go on the internet now and you know, and catch it. And it's the same thing with energy.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny you mentioned it's just triggered a memory. But yeah, in the last year or so, I mean, I had lots of weird things, although beautifully weird things happening. But I sing to the kids, and I sing lots of songs, but particularly kind of Beatles type songs. But there was two songs I was singing in the morning, and I was singing Bob Marley. Don't worry about a thing, because every little thing's going to be all right. And then after that, I was singing Lenny Kravitz, because I don't know why it came about, because I used to have the dreams of flying. So his song was, I want to get away. I want to fly away. So excuse the singing, but I hope you get the songs. So anyway,
Yeah, I know the songs.
I was just singing those two with the kids, right? And then I get in the car with my eldest son, who's 10, and then I never ever turn the radio on, because it's always gobbledygook, and yeah, it distracts me. I like to, if I'm driving, like have peace and quiet, and I'm thinking, right? So I don't know why, I just felt impulse to turn the radio on. So it just randomly, on whatever radio station it was on, right, was playing Bob Marley. And yeah, the very song, I mean, don't worry about a thing. And my son says to me, oh, Daddy, they're playing your song. And I thought, wow, so they are. And then, could you believe the next song?
I want to fly away.
And we could not believe it. We both nearly fainted. I mean, what's the chance of that happening?
Well, to me, it's a message from your angels, your higher source or whatever. Actually, they used to call me, well, some people do, the musical psychics, because I love music. And a lot of times the messages I get are through song lyrics or through even commercials that, you know, obviously they're in the States, or, you know, or I'll hear something. So yeah, that's one way that we get messages during the daytime. And I think, and you can even have it in your, you know, in your dreams.
Yeah. No, I mean, this, as I said, this fascinates me so much. Another one, just very quickly, I dreamt about numbers, and I asked for the number sequence in the end, which I got. And because I kept asking, I just got these random numbers thrown at me. And in the end, I got the number sequence, right? It kept telling me to be patient, right? And then I got it. And then that day I went down to the bakery shop down the road, and they have a delivery van, and it had the number plate was the number of the dream.
Oh yeah. Well, they, you know, you get messages through numbers. I'm thinking of this one client, and I don't remember it because, you know, it's hard enough to remember my own dreams, like, you know, my clients' dreams, but she got a receipt and it had numbers, but it was very significant to her. You know, obviously it could be like in the US, I don't know if you have social security numbers. We have social security numbers. It could be your birth date. It could be somebody else's birth date, or it could even be the numbers to pay in the lottery, or it could be like an angel, you know, messages from your angel. Like if you get 444 or 333 or 2211, those are master numbers. So, you know, yeah, that everything can be symbolic.
No, exactly. I mean, I could talk for hours and hours and hours with you. I just absolutely love dreams and spirituality and the subjects and trying to decipher what it all means. I'm just curious about your background. I mean, what you've got behind you. So,
that is for my sister. It's a wall hanging.
mhm.
And I don't want to lift it up all the way, but it's like a tree with hearts and an elephant, because I love elephants. I love cats. I love big cats. I love birds, elephants. I love animals. I find them fascinating. And that's another thing with symbolism. Animals can mean so many different things.
No,
Yeah.
exactly. And you're big into cats.
Oh, I'm real big into cats. I was doing some inner child work yesterday, right? And when I first worked with, I call her Little Pam. Okay. The first time I met her, right? This was many years ago. She turned away. She wouldn't look at me. She was so angry at me, and so I've been doing EFT, which is emotional freedom technique. I've been working with somebody with that. And it was interesting because one day because I'm tapping and I started talking, and it was like my inner child talking. And then the next day I worked with her, and she was like, and we're working on stuff, and she's like, okay, I'm going to go away and I'm going to go hang out with the lions. And that's what my little girl does, because she was riding like the male lion. So yeah, my inner child loves lions, and I was born the year of the tiger. So, they used to call me Catwoman. Yeah, because I love cats. I love dogs too.
Yeah.
Dogs are great too. But I prefer cats.
Yeah, there's a New York accent coming out there when you said dogs.
I'm sorry?
When you say dogs, you say a very New York accent.
Oh, yeah. Certain words will come out.
Now, I remember being at a ball game, and then there was the guy selling hot dogs was saying, hot dogs, hot dogs. Right.
Yeah.
So you have 4 of your own cats.
I have, well, I just inherited my dad, who's still alive, his 2 cats, because he can't take care of them. And I had 2 cats. And that in itself was interesting. But cats are very intuitive. They're energy workers,
Yeah.
They're here for a reason. We just don't always understand it.
I might need some help with my cat. Can you help the cat?
I'll try and do the best I can.
Yeah, the cat's got a habit of, like, when she's annoyed, she'll go in to the toilet on your bed.
Oh, okay. That's not good. Yeah, that's not.
And I don't know what it is that's upsetting her that makes her want to do that. Because weeks can go by, everything's perfectly normal, and then something will upset her and she'll make a mess.
Do you know what's upsetting her?
It could be the kids teasing her.
Okay.
But she'll go for a poo on my bed, you see. So I think she's blaming me.
Right. Like you're supposed to protect her. I think you need to find out the reason why and to stop it. Okay. But I would say, can you keep your bedroom door closed?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. Then you need to put some kind of like lemon or some kind of maybe citrus flavor on your, because it will deter. Okay. You can also, if you want to put a litter box, but really, I'm going to say that, and this is what came to mind. If you can't figure it out, videotape, because obviously something's happened. Now, will your kids admit to what they're doing to the cat?
Oh yeah, they typically pick her up, or when she's and don't let her down when you can see clearly she wants to get down, and then they're holding on to her. And I'm thinking, put the cat down, and they'll squeeze her and whatever. I said, let her go.
No. Okay. Well, that right there, with cats, like I might pick up one of my cats and like Jeffrey. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go, and I quickly put him down. Okay. Mm-hmm. He doesn't like to be kissed. Okay. Mm-hmm. He's starting to put up with it, but no, you put them down. That's their boundary. Okay. they're really lucky the cat hasn't scratched them yet.
Oh, the cats have scratched the kids. And I said I said, let the cat come to you, because they'll come to you when they're ready.
Okay, exactly. So you know what you do? You pick them up
and put lemon
when
on
they're
them.
like, when they don't want to be, like if they're busy playing and stuff, you pick them up.
I thought you were
show
going to
them
say
what it
put
feels
lemon
like.
Put lemon on the kids.
Yeah, no, don't put lemon on the kids. But no, I'm saying pick up your kids.
Yeah.
And let them see how irritating it is.
And when they want to go, keep hold of them.
Yeah, keep hold of them. Exactly. Yeah. Let them, and then you can say, now you know how the cat feels.
Yeah, I believe it's that, because I treat the cat with respect, and I say to the kids, they say, why does the cat come to you? And I said, because I leave the cat alone.
Right. Let the cat come to you.
Yeah.
So that's what you do. You can, like we have a parakeet, right? Mm-hmm. So when Pip is like looking at the parakeet and he's like this, I go over to him and I'm like, and I look right at him like that. And I'm like, stop, leave the bird, because it makes the bird uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So so mimic their behavior and let them know how it feels.
Yeah. So just going back to what you said, because we need to wrap this up in a minute. So you work with children as well?
No, I don't.
Oh, you don't? Oh.
No, I don't work with children. I work with young adults. I'm willing, but no, not children. Not unless I have the parents' permission.
Okay.
Okay, because I'm like, if I actually had one woman who write a comment on my blog saying, during COVID, my mom died. What is it? I need some help with my dream. And I was like, I'm sorry, I can't help you. You need to get permission, from an adult, mm-hmm. and here's the website. Here's my link. Right. Mm-hmm. And some woman like reamed me out, like, this poor girl, and you want to charge her money. And I'm like, excuse me, what makes you feel entitled to tell me what to do? And I'm not getting sued. I need permission. And quite honestly, from somebody like that, she could have been a scammer.
Uh-huh.
But no, when it comes, I remember I had a woman come and she wanted me to do psychic readings at her teenager's party. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay. And the first one came in and closed the door. And I was like, leave the door open. I want the door open, because I didn't want to,
mm-hmm.
I didn't want any legal stuff later on. So yeah, I'm better with adults, I guess you could say. And
it is annoying when you're doing things with a good heart and good intent, and people abuse that.
Right.
So it's just a pity that too many people are looking for kind of exploiting your kindness and generosity and for their own personal gains.
Well, there's always going to be scammers and trolls and, mm-hmm. and people who call you up or email. I need it now. I need it right this moment, and what it does is it teaches you how to make boundaries, mm-hmm. and not to accept that, mm-hmm. And certain, like with trolls, not to let it bother you, which isn't easy. Like with the Kickstarter that I'm going to do, I'm in this group, and people are they tell you when you do a Kickstarter, you are going to get so many emails in your Kickstarter, probably on your website contact forms. I can help you. I can help you. I can help you. And mm-hmm. it's spam. Just report it to Kickstarter, let it go. Don't even engage. That's the most mm-hmm. important thing. Don't engage.
Yes. Always easier said than done.
Oh, I know it, because it's hard not to take it personally. I remember I was listening to this comedian talking to another comedian, and they were talking about YouTube, right? And she actually said, "You don't read the comments, do you?" I learned not to read the comments, because people. These are hurt people are going to hurt people. These are sick people who have not dealt with their issues. And God bless them. They're not bad people. They're hurting people. And what they do, instead of looking at their pain, is they go and they hurt other people. Mm-hmm. All right. And, and you have to be smart about it. Should I respond? Should I not respond? Should I just delete it? And do your best not to take it personal.
Yes.
Just like, on LinkedIn, you connect with somebody and boom, they try and sell you.
Exactly. I mean, people have said, you can tell, I mean, a lot of them on LinkedIn say, yeah, oh, I looked at your profile and it's very good. I'd like to connect you. I mean, for what? For what reason? And then next minute you've connected to them and they've bombarded you with like sell. And I'm thinking, oh, I don't want to buy. I want to say goodbye and I wish I'd never connected.
Yeah, exactly. So they're always going, so how do you deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, I try to be very polite and
sure.
And then let it go. I mean, I will still stay connected, but I'm not your customer, right? And
I've had people, I'm sorry. Yeah,
no, carry on.
I've had people come onto my website, okay? And I have a contact form if you want me to interpret a dream or you put your questions into. I've had people go through, bypass the payment button and put in their dream or their questions. So, and at one time I had so many people do that and I'm like, what is wrong with you? This is so I just made up a thing that I copied. Thank you so much. Please check your payments. I didn't receive it. It could be on your end, and I just copy paste because I don't want to be rude. I've actually had a couple of people say, oh, sorry, and pay me.
Yeah. Actually, with contact forms on your website, people abuse that now because I get emails from myself, right? And I think, how did I get that email? I never sent it to me. And they're using your contact form and they're spamming you. And it's so annoying.
Oh, yeah. And for those people, I feel sorry for them that they have to be that desperate, I just feel like, oh my God, they must be hurting financially. They must be feeling so low about themselves that they can't go out and make a living for themselves. Really. Again, it's hurt people. And sometimes talking about dreams, that can even come out in your dreams. Dreams about spammers and trolls.
Yeah. No, but I like what you said there. Hurt people.
Right. Well,
that'd be a good name of a book.
Yeah, actually, and that's not for me. That's a saying that I heard years ago, but it's true. If someone's hurting, they're going to hurt you. Like I remember saying to Orthodox rabbi, Orthodox Jewish rabbi one time, I said, and he didn't really like this, but he got it. I said, Hitler did some horrible things, but can you imagine what his childhood was like? Or I didn't say this to him, or even his past lives to do something like that. And I said to him, now imagine if what Hitler did, he used his power for good. Do you know what I mean? The world would be such a better place. It really would. So I think what we need to do with people like that is to send them love. Okay. And be careful with your intention. I used to get so mad when I was with Pinterest. People would steal my pins and direct it to their website, and that used to, and so I'd be like, so I wish those people who did that, this was really bad. I wish they would get diarrhea. I was so mad. Oh, I hope they get diarrhea. Right. And I threw that intention out. Right. And it was fun, but you know what? It came back to me and I got diarrhea. Okay. So you have to, so I think it's better just to say they're hurt, God bless them, and send out energy. And it's not always easy to do. So if it bothers you, feel the feeling and then say, okay, I'm upset. Their actions were rude, or like I'd like to say, polite hair trolls, Sometimes it's with their intention, like, oh, I looked at your website, I can help you. Okay, I can change it, Then so it might be good intentions, but it's still trolling. So, feel the feeling and then wish them love. And that works better than wishing them, as I learned, diarrhea.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, they say you shouldn't fight fire with fire,
Right.
and
Exactly.
you should then fight fire with water or whatever. I mean, because you want to put it out, not to make it bigger, right? And definitely easier said than done, but sometimes you need to step back and look at what's the outcome, what's the reaction going to be if you do something like this, and you don't want to fuel something, you want to put the situation out and move on.
Right. Right. And, and sometimes, people won't, you know, even if you don't respond, sometimes people will continue. And that's when you just send them love and realize that is their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That is, but be smart about it.
Yeah. But I think, I mean, it's kind of the karma thing. If you put out hurt to people, then whether you're hurting, you're going to get whatever you put out, you get back.
Right.
Right. I mean, you're asking the universe, like, let's hurt people. And then the universe will say, right, well, you're going to get a bunch of that back.
Right.
So let's move that away from hurt to love.
Right. Exactly.
And
I'm willing to forgive you for your actions. I send you love.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, we need to wrap this up now.
Yeah, I know.
So, I mean, you've been an absolutely fantastic guest. As I said, I absolutely love what you do, and definitely want to stay in touch and see what we can do, either another panel discussion or whatever. I just think it's so fascinating. And have you got any kind of closing remarks that you want to, or advice that you want to give?
I'm going to say to always work on yourself, work on your stuff, and be yourself. Okay. The more you work on yourself, the happier life. And whether that's dreams or, like the nighttime messages or the daytime wisdom, work on yourself, learn to love yourself, treat yourself with respect, and be kind to others. Send out love.
Beautiful. I love it. And I will put all the links. What's the best way to contact you?
Really through my website, Pamela, and the last name is Cummins. It's underneath my name. And you can find me on LinkedIn. That's my main social media.
Okay. So I have all of the links anyway. So I'll post those in the notes and people can reach out and connect to you.
Okay. Great.
So once again, Pamela, you've been an absolutely fantastic and wonderful guest.
You've been a great host. So
thank you. And I absolutely love what you do. And I wish you great success in that. And yeah, I would like to talk to you more about particularly some of the work that you do to see, if you can work with me on some things. So on that note, thank you once again. Have a blessed weekend. And as soon as I have this ready to post, then I will send you the links and everything that you can share with your audience.
Okay, right. And I'm looking forward to reading your book.
Oh, yeah. Well, hopefully that's planned. The collaborative book with 11 authors is due at the end of the year. And my Inner Mind working book, no dates on that yet. I don't know.
It's a work in progress.
It is. I've written a lot, and it's quite deep, right? So it's quite personal one. So, but also your books. Put all the links to how people can see your books, and actually, I have books from previous guests here, so I might ask you to sign a book and send it over to me.
Okay.
Right.
Sounds great.
Then I can advertise it for you as well.
Okay. Sounds good.
So once again, thank you very much, and have a great weekend.
Nice weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Wow, that was another featured business brought to you by Visibility Impact. If you'd like to be our next featured guest or learn how James Moffat can help you leverage on the art and power of interactive storytelling for your business, reach out and schedule a call now.